I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
We will be perfect in every aspect of the game. You drop a pass, you run a mile. You miss a blocking assignment, you run a mile. You fumble the football, and I will break my foot off in your John Brown hind parts.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Screw them. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Double A Squad, what is good? I didn't like that intro. I shouldn't have done that.
Why? I think it's great.
I don't know.
You come in with something different every week. It's great.
I tried to. My name's Ryan. Across from me always is the very enthusiastic Kelly Veniclausen.
Creme.
Remember? Creme, baby.
Creme.
Crusty on the outside.
A lot today.
Gooey on the inside.
A lot today. A lot of crust.
Yeah.
A lot of extra crust.
That's all right. Crust is good depending what you're eating.
True that.
You know?
Creme.
How you been?
Brulee. I'm fine. I'm good. I don't know. What's going on? Not a lot.
Father's Day.
We got Father's Day. That was good.
Did you do anything?
What?
Did you do anything? Did you get anything?
Well, weather kind of put a little wrinkle in what I kind of wanted to do. I kind of wanted to take the fam for a bike ride and, do whatever. And, but it worked out well. We had a little rain, a little drizzle. It worked out fine. We took a ride, got to see one of my kids at work and hung out and it was a pretty chill day. But it was good.
As I tend to feel like most Father's Day are pretty chill days. There's not a lot of like pomp and circumstance that comes along with it.
No.
What do you want for Father's Day? Some GD, peace and quiet. That's all I want. No. I think the Lord, at least in our area, was like, all right, here you go. You can have it. Here's a 55-degree day. Correct. So you can't go fishing. You can't go golfing. You can't do anything. So all you're going to do is sit inside and do pretty much nothing for the most part.
Oh, look, it's clearing up. So you run outside.
Yeah.
And it starts to sprinkle.
Yeah.
Back in you go. You run back out. It's starting to clear up.
Yep.
Not so much.
Yeah. We were able to squeeze in a couple games of pickleball, my dad and I. So that was kind of fun.
Solid.
Yeah. So advanced into the next round of the tournament, but I'm out of town next weekend, and so is everybody else. So we got to automatically forfeit, which is fine. We were going to end up playing the number 1 seed, and we've only been playing for 2 months. So we've figured out a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's a good time. It's a fun sport. Gets you moving, gets you active. But
I told you my pickleball story, right?
Maybe.
I think I said it on here, so I won't repeat much of it other than hadn't played prior to a couple of years ago and first time played down in Erie, Colorado, right outside of right north of Denver. And courts everywhere. And there were courts covered with relatively what I would consider older than me people. And I kind of looked around and I'm like, oh, wow, is this all this is? It's just a bunch of old people swinging paddles and doing whatever. Right up until my wife and I stepped onto a court with a couple that was significantly older than both of us. And that man was firing serves so damn good and so damn hot that I couldn't return them.
Yeah, and that's really the key.
Well, there's some respect.
Yeah, there's a couple of different things that we figured out, like especially positioning and how to do things. But if you can get a good serve, down and learn how to get something that's going to be hard to return, that's kind of one of the keys that we've figured out between where we are, which I think we're kind of at the league got split in half, right? They didn't have enough rec teams. They didn't have enough competitive teams to do 2 separate leagues. So they combined the rec and the competitive. So every other week we'd play somebody that had a way higher skill gap than we did, and we'd get throttled. And then we'd go play somebody in the rec league. And, they're starting out just like we are, but I don't know, just based on athletic prowess, I have no idea. We were a little bit better than them.
Yeah.
And so we kind of figured out how to play the game, obviously, in different positioning and kind of what was working and what wasn't working. But the one thing that we don't have yet is one of those wicked, like, low, quick, fast serves that's damn near impossible to return if you've never seen it consistently.
Yeah, because you can't catch it when it's only coming about an inch over the net and it's coming hot. You can't pick it up in time.
Yeah, especially if they go, backhand on you.
Yeah.
They go you're off to the right. It was pretty difficult. We held our own, though. I was pretty proud with where things ended up, and not a lot of, like, elderly people in the league that we were playing. It was a lot of, like, guys that were picking the sport up, and they're about my age, mid-30s to, like, mid-40s. So, good group of people. I think it's a good community. So, if you want to try something new, it's a cheap sport to get into. I think you go out and you get a paddle for, like, $40. Balls are, like, $8.
Yeah.
A lot of cities nowadays have their own pickleball courts because like tennis is dying, so they've just transferred all these into pickleball courts.
Yep.
And there's a ton of people playing. Just remember, there's etiquette to this too. You don't shake hands. You touch paddles.
Right.
You touch paddles.
Right.
Keep your hands out of it.
Yeah.
So I made that mistake the very first week. I think I told that story. Hey, my name's Ryan, and go to shake hand and a paddle comes out. And I'm like, oh, okay. Dink.
Learn the rules.
Yeah.
You can buy kits off Amazon. # not a sponsor. You can buy pickleball kits where you can get 4 paddles, and they'll give you a set of indoor and outdoor balls.
Wow. Yeah. What a deal.
Yeah. And there is a difference.
Use code. Just kidding. We don't have one. That'd be
Right.
pretty cool, though.
Yep.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, if you go into any department store, even like Shields, Walmart, Target, anything, they've got a ton of pickleball stuff in there. So it's clearly taken off, even in our, mid-sized town. There's a lot of it happening. The rec center over on I think it's over by Canyon Lake Rec Center. They're like the epicenter of pickleball. Every Wednesday they do their lunch afternoon stuff, and they're putting on like tournaments and different like classes and teaching you how to do it. And it's kind of taken over the basketball league at the Y. So
Righteous.
it's coming on strong. I mean, there was even a so they do this professional pickleball league or whatever. There's a men and a women's division or league or whatever you want to call it. And recently, one of these ladies got drafted, and they don't do the draft like they do in other leagues, Kelly. What they do in these drafts is it's a bidding war. So if Kelly Veneklausen is presumed to be the number 1 overall pickleball draft prospect, right?
Which is not happening.
Let's just say in a world that it is happening.
Sounds good.
The teams don't draft in order. They bet. It's like a
they bid.
They bid, excuse me. Yep. So they bid for your services. Well, pickleball has grown so much, and I know that in the grand scheme of these other sports, this doesn't sound like a lot of money. The women's league, this team wanted her so bad that they bid about $1.5 million to get her rights for her to play for their team. And you should have seen her reaction, man. It was one of those things because it had beat the previous highest bid by a lot of money, right? So now the pressure's on her. We just spent all this money to get you on our team. Hopefully you perform.
Yeah.
And you could see on her face that she was like, whoa, this is pretty crazy. But, $1.5 million to go play pickleball, not the worst thing in the world.
Sign me up. Because when I first watched it, we've been members of Heart Ranch forever.
Yeah.
Right? And they've had pickleball courts out there as long as we've been out there, and it's 2 decades worth. And when I would watch people play, I would always hear the tink and watch the ball bounce and do whatever, and I knew it wasn't tennis. I wasn't that stupid. I knew it wasn't tennis. But I'm like, the way that these particular people were playing it was the underhand hit over the net, ball kind of bounces, and nobody really had to move.
Yeah.
Right? It didn't look very aggressive, and nobody really had to move. And I'm just like, is that fun? Like, is that fun for anyone?
Yeah.
Like, the people over there are crushing it on the tennis courts, right? In the pickleball, you just hear tink, bonk, tink, bonk. And they're just returning a serve. Then we got to see what it really is, or what it
especially
really
when
is for some people.
They get up to the net just outside the kitchen, and they're
Oh, it's on. Yeah, it's on.
Yeah.
And I've watched people put on, it took them longer to put on all the gear, the knee wraps and the headbands and the goggles and all the gear that it takes them to play the game than actually play the game. And then, we get to sit down, we get to rest, we get to take all the gear off again. Anyway.
When you watch a group of people that are equally matched in skill level, especially on the higher end, it's a pretty amazing thing to watch. And even playing, so these guys that we played on Sunday, they were pretty equally matched as far as their skill level goes. And, you know, it was just in the tournament or in the regular season, you just play a flat 3 games. Doesn't matter if you win the first 2 or not. But in the tournament, it's best 2 of 3. So if you win the first 2, you don't have to play the third. So we end up going 3 games with these guys. And I mean, I think the first game we won, I think it was like 11-7. The second game they won 11-8. And the third game we won 13-11. So we were tied at 11 at one point. You got to win by 2, and it's the whole thing. And but I mean, it's some of these matches will last a half an hour because you can only score when you're serving. And if you get good returns and a whole bunch of other crazy shit that's happening, and I don't know, it's a good time. There's a lot of people that knock on it because it is primarily kind of a retired sport for the most part, but there are some younger people that are starting to get into it. It's a really easy one to get into. I might even see if my wife wants to try and play it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I need to know definitively. I need to know the rule about the front line.
So the front line's super easy.
When you can cross it, when you cannot.
Front line's super easy, right? It's called the kitchen.
That's it.
It's called the kitchen.
I knew that much.
So if the ball comes over and you're standing in the kitchen, you cannot just spike it down if you're standing in the kitchen.
Can't hit it.
You can, but you got to let it bounce first.
Roger that.
So if it bounces and you're standing in the kitchen, then you can hit it.
Okay.
But if you're
Which
standing
is nearly impossible to do.
So there was a really weird instance where I had returned one over pretty aggressively. The guy actually got a paddle on it, sent it way up, and it just barely went on the other side of our net, right? So it goes boink, and it bounces super high. And my dad stands in the kitchen and just obliterates this thing down onto their side. And I said, dude, you can't do that. And he goes, yeah, I can. It bounced. And I went, oh, shit, you're right. It did. I've never seen a ball bounce that high in the kitchen, right?
The only way you can play up in the kitchen, you got to let the ball bounce at least once.
Yep.
Roger that.
Yep. And if you want to spike it, so...
I'm a net rusher.
Yeah.
I just want you to know
and that's
this.
Great, though.
I am a net rusher.
Then you'd be great at pickleball. We should actually get out and try it.
But I'm not good at pickleball because I'm a net rusher, but I don't allow the bounce. So I'm catching
but listen,
stuff
though,
on
listen,
the
though,
return.
Once it bounces once on each side, it's fair game as long as it's not in the kitchen. So if you stand in that front line and somebody whacks one over, you don't have to you don't have to let it bounce. You can tee off on that thing and send it back.
Oh, as long as it's already been established a bounce on each side.
Yep.
So then it doesn't have to bounce in the kitchen.
Correct. So if I serve to you, you got to let it bounce.
Bam. Back
you serve
it
it back to me. I got to let it bounce, and then after that, it's game on, baby.
Oh, then the front line doesn't matter at all.
No, the front line still matters as long as it bounces. As long as you're in the kitchen and it bounces. So you can stand behind the line and still get after it.
Yes, without the bounce.
Correct.
The bounce is okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to clarify.
Yes.
That's why my aggressive network needs work.
Yeah. And so you can't stand in there and spike it over. Your follow through can't fall into the kitchen, you know. So there's a couple different rules, but it's more akin to ping pong than anything, which is why I think my wife would actually be fairly decent at it. So with a little bit of elements of like what I feel are like badminton and tennis, obviously mixed in. But if you've got any experience with ping pong, this is just a giant version of that.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
I got to get back into it.
It's a good time. I
got to get back into it.
We should go.
I'll be the guy. I'll put the knee braces on.
Yeah.
You know, I'll get out there. I'll tear it up.
Yeah.
The first couple times I played pickleball, I played it like I played racquetball, which I was just all over the place, right?
Yeah.
I'm on the court. I'm off the court. I'm just everywhere. I'm rolling around, blood running. Just it was a massacre.
Yeah. Seriously, if you got a free Sunday open sometime, you and I should go out and try it.
Let's do it.
It's a good time.
I'm open.
And there's always people out there playing. And
I will bring my wife, so then Jenna can come along.
Yeah. And we'll just leave my kids at home, and they can just try to figure out.
They don't need supervision. They're old enough. This is 2026. We don't watch our kids anymore.
Yeah, right.
Let them be.
Yeah. But no, Father's Day was all right. Nothing too crazy. We did something with my family on the Friday before, and then Jenna's family, we just went out and got breakfast in the morning, and then just kind of hung out the rest of the day. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
it was good.
It's kind of getting fun. You know, my son, he turns 3 in August, and that's crazy, right?
We're so far apart. We are so.
I can't believe he's already almost 3.
I don't necessarily feel old until I come do these podcasts with you, and you mention either your age or your kids, and I'm like, I'll tell you what. Yeah. I'm dinosaur. Yeah. I'm prehistoric stuff.
Yeah. But for a 2-year-old, he's got a pretty vast vocabulary, and he's starting to pick up on things, starting to learn different stuff. And so Jenna was telling him about what Father's Day was, because he was seeing cards, and he was seeing presents, and he was seeing balloons and stuff like that. And so he was like, Dad, we celebrate your birthday? And Jenna goes, no, we're celebrating all the dads. We're celebrating the grandpas and dads and uncles and stuff like that. And so then the rest of the weekend, he was like, we celebrate you for Father's Day? And so he was all excited about it, and he's just very cute and very funny. And there was 3 balloons. There was one for me, one for my dad, and one for my grandpa. And I don't know if he's got some form of autism or whatever, but that kid knew exactly which balloon belonged to who. And the grandpas ended up leaving theirs here. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we're even 3 days past it now or whatever it is. And so he'll still look at the red one and go, that's Papa Jim's balloon, and that's Papa Brian's, and that's Dad's. And it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're only about 12 years away
I don't want to
from your kids just peeling out and being gone on Father's Day.
Forgetting your birthday.
They've got friends, and they got something else going on.
Yeah. Yeah, but pretty decent weekend altogether. I got my 2 fence posts in, so those are all cemented in, so now I just got to build the rest of it. And I mean, if it ever stops flipping raining here, it's crazy.
Nah, it's going to be several days
I shouldn't complain.
You shouldn't.
You know, I went fishing again last week, and Sheridan looked fine, but I think I told you Pactola was way down, so that needs some more.
Did you see the freaking rainbow that got pulled out of Pactola?
Yeah. I saw the rainbow. There was another Laker that got pulled out of
brown trout.
Yeah.
Brown trout got pulled out.
Insane.
The rainbow was genuinely impressive because we've fished there a number of times and we've caught some rainbow out of there and not anything close to what that guy was holding up.
I don't even know
that would make me fall out of a boat. if I reeled that thing up, seriously, just the shock and awe factor, I'd have fell right out the backside of the boat.
I need to know what kind of test line he was using because I'm usually not using anything more than like 6 to 10.
Yeah, was he really using those submersive lights?
Shoot, I don't know.
Did you see the ad for
No,
that?
I didn't
So they had
see
the
that.
picture of him holding the trout.
Yeah.
And then underneath it, they had an ad for Neil, whatever it is,
I don't
neon
know.
something or other, this submersible light.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. No, we went out again last week. It was supposed to be my brother and my sister's fiance. Well, my brother does whatever he does, and he's not able to go just because reasons. So it's just me and my sister's fiance out on my boat fishing. So that was kind of a new thing, right? We had a ton of fun. But that little bastard, he broke the curse. He landed a trout and a crappie and multiple bluegill. But yeah, he finally did it after I've had that boat for like 3 years now, I think, almost 4.
See, you got to bring in the outside blood.
Nice little 13-inch trout that he had. And he doesn't normally fish for trout, right? So like he's usually, I was like, so what do you do? He's like, usually I just come on the shore and I'm fishing for bass or bluegill or whatever. And so I'm like, you've never really fished for trout? He goes, no, not really. And not 3 minutes later, wham! I mean, that thing hit, and it hit hard and took that bobber like 20 feet down, right? And he goes, holy shit, what was that? And I'm like, you just got hammered by a trout. That's exactly what that was. And so he's fighting it, and it's flying out of the water and doing the whole thing. And I'm like, this is why I like catching them, because they're actually pretty fun, right?
Yeah.
And so he said the dumb thing where he's like, because I had told him about the boat, and I'm like, I think it's cursed. I've never been able to land a trout in this boat, yada, yada, yada. I've had more luck on the shore than I have in it. And he's like, there we go. We broke the curse. We haven't landed it yet, jackass. Like, let's chill out.
Oh, come on.
Right?
Celebrate with him.
So I got,
Quit being the glass half empty guy.
So I got the net out, which is always a double-edged sword. You're going to get the fish in the boat, but then the fish is going to tangle itself up in the net, and then you're going to spend 20 minutes getting everything out of the net. So we got it, took a picture. I think we measured it was just under 13 inches. So
nice
little trout. Most of the stuff that we caught that day, we probably would have kept had we been doing a fish fry, because even the bluegill were probably 10 to 12 inches long, but they were fat little chubs, man.
Yeah. You just butterfly the trout?
Yeah.
Just knock the head off and...
Well, have you ever done the thing where you split the gill, cut them down the belly, and then pull the gill out and it pulls all the guts out, and then you just go down the back where the liver is and scrape it out, and then you're done?
Well, what do? I knock the head off, I lay it open, scrape all the what's the word I'm looking for?
Bones?
Scales. Just do a little scale scrape on it. But yeah, I'll knock the head off, cut it down the middle, butterfly it.
Yeah.
And then we'll open it up, load it up with lemon
and butter.
Butter, onion, whatever.
Yeah.
Close it back up, wrap it up tightly in foil, throw it on, and just let her low and slow.
Yeah, it's really good, but it's kind of the only way you can do it.
Yeah, because then when you open it back up, the time to eat, you can eat it right off the skin, but
Correct.
you can also grab a hold
Yeah.
of the bone, whoop, and the whole crapperoo comes out at one shot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Trout are really good eating, especially if you get enough butter and like lemon and stuff on
They're
there.
good.
It's nice.
They're good. And you never have to put, if you wrap it in the foil, this is just for people listening, you never have to put skin side down to the heat surface.
Yeah, there you go.
Never.
Yeah. I should.
Did I say skin side?
Yeah, you did.
No, meat side.
Meat side.
You never have to put meat side down to the heat surface.
If I ever get lucky enough to catch like 4 to 5 like decent 12+ inch trout in a day, now that I'm finally I'm in my smoking era, throw them on the Traeger, do some stuff like that. I think that would be kind of fun. But yeah. Anyway, so that was
Lakers.
Yeah.
Fun fact, little word of advice: if you caught a Laker, don't go thumb first like you would a rainbow.
Oh yeah.
Do not go reaching with the thumb. Lakers are white meat trout.
Yeah.
Which, for those who don't know, pink meat means we don't eat other fish.
Yeah.
White meat, as is a Laker, we eat other fish.
Typically tastes
and they
better.
have teeth
Yeah.
that are legit.
Yeah.
And I just about
no.
got a thumb down in there.
Yeah.
My son caught this beautiful Laker out of Pactola. And we were so surprised with where we were at, how big the fish was that he was pulling out.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's like we have a little trout net, right? And this thing required like a full-fledged walleye, pike, whatever net. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, we got to get this. So we start grabbing, and I'm just going with a thumb. I'm like, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. Yeah, learned real quick when that thing opened its mouth. A thumb is not the answer.
No,
not if I enjoy having my thumb.
Depending on how big it is, you either got to go, wrap around the body, or you got to go up underneath the gill.
Absolutely, and you got to be careful with the gill.
Yeah,
you can get in there too deep, and you can get the back row of teeth. You got to be careful there too. Yeah. This. We should do a YouTube video. This is so instructional.
How to properly.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be very useful considering how bad of a fisherman I am, I guess.
I'm no good.
Looking forward to October, though. We're going to try to go up to Ormond.
Were you using live bait?
Yeah, just worms.
That's all you're using?
Yeah, that's it.
Were you letting them float up about 2 feet off the bottom? Had the old bullet weight on?
No, we were just doing kind of I threw down anchor in about 30 feet of water and then did a bobber, and we went down probably about 10 feet with the bobber and just let them sit there. I mean, it was a 50-degree day with rain.
Oh, so they weren't all at the bottom.
No, they were moving and grooving, and it was one of those days where the water was warmer than what it was outside.
Yep.
So it was a really good day for fishing. We got rained on and got wet, but I was the best tour guide on the lake though. Yeah. He was reeling them in, and I was just taking them places to go catch them. Really. They
said this window right now is about a 3-week window where water temperatures are like 70 degrees, and they're not diving deep yet.
It's like the runoff from the hills versus what the natural temperature is, and it's kind of creating this nice blend.
Yeah.
So
hovering right around a 70-degree thing. I don't know, but hey.
October we're gonna hit.
When do I get to go in the boat?
When do you want to go?
I want to go anytime.
All right, let's do it.
We can turn this off right now and go if you want.
Right. October, I'm going to try to hit up Ormond during spawning season and get some walleye.
Nice. So. They're pulling those out up there left and right.
Are they?
Yep.
Yeah, walleye are good eating. So anyway, we have about 3 major stories we're going to talk about today. We're going to go over the saga that may be coming to an end that is Brendan Sorsby and everything that's involved in that. And then tailing off of that, there has been some updates on the Save College Sports Act and things that are passing through the Senate, what that looks like, why the Big Ten and the SEC are pissed off about it, and some other things. And then we will finish off the show with a story about the MLB and the potential lockout that's going to happen next spring and what that looks like and what the MLB is proposing versus what the Players Association does not like. We've covered that before on the show. We'll go over that a little bit more in detail as to what the proposal is. And when I mean we covered it, we've talked about how the Players Association is not a fan of salary cap and why that is. But first and foremost, there was some big news that happened just last night. So before we get into any of it, and I want to talk about 2 things NBA before we get into the 3 big stories that we've got.
Heartbreaker.
Number 1 is one of the top 10 best players in the sport got traded last night, and that is Giannis Antetokounmpo gets traded to the Miami Heat for a slew of picks and a couple players.
A lot.
Yeah, and kind of really guts the Miami Heat roster for the most part. They end up getting Giannis and I think it was Bobby Portis Jr. So Giannis gets his request. He gets traded. There were 3 teams on his hit list. He wanted to either go to Miami, which he eventually did, Boston was the other one, and Minnesota was the third. Those were the only 3 teams that he was willing to sign an extension with. Miami was the only one that was willing to give up whatever it needed to get him. I know that there were some other players on the hook for the other teams that they were kind of like, no, we'd rather not. We'd like to add him, but not get rid of this and that and the other thing. So this changes up the landscape for sure. He remains in the East and, goes to a solid franchise, a solid organization with the Miami Heat. He's got Spoelstra as a coach now. Overall, this doesn't really feel like it changes the landscape of anything in the NBA for me, just because of that Miami roster, and unless they're going to build it out and do some other things and they've got other plans, that's fine. But he goes from one team that was kind of aging and didn't have a lot of pieces around him as far as shooters go to a Miami team that doesn't have a ton of people on it anymore.
Yeah.
So if I'm an Eastern team like the Knicks or Boston or the Pacers or anyone like that, I'm not really too concerned with this. Number one, because they can't really fill out the roster, and number two, Giannis has had some injury concerns over the last few years, and he's aging, and just some other things. So while it's an interesting story, and they did give up about 3 first-round picks to get him, overall, I don't think this really changes much for the NBA as far as who's a contender and who's not.
No, and I didn't get to finish the article. What's the status of Randall now with the T-Wolves? Because he was going to be okay.
Yeah,
so he was going to be gone regardless.
He literally got traded to the Nets.
Okay.
And so the Wolves got traded him to the Nets, and they got rid of Randall and their 28th overall pick for the 33rd overall pick.
Sure.
So they wanted to dump his salary and dump him so bad that they're like, yeah, we'll take a worse pick.
Yeah.
What that did was, the Randall trade, is it freed up enough money for them to go sign Dosumo, the point guard that they picked up. That was a huge boost to them and really good player.
And then Reed too, right? They'll be able to do some work with Reed now.
So Reed, Naz Reed, who just signed an extension last year or the year before, basically from what I've seen from this is they've got a lot of faith in what Dosumo is going to do for them next year at the point guard position and the skills that he brings to the table. And basically, from what I can see, is they're hoping that Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid can make that next step.
Yep.
And to be honest, if you watched any of the Timberwolves games, you were seeing more scoring potential, more effort output overall from Naz than you ever did from Julius.
Yes.
So I can see that it's kind of a no-brainer. They already paid Naz. He's a fan favorite. He was, a sixth man of the year 2 years ago. He's consistently a great three-point shooter. So they're just going to move him up to a starting role into the power forward position. And so now you'll have what I imagine would be your potential starting five will either be Dosumu or, well, it probably won't be DiVincenzo because he tore his Achilles and that takes forever to come back from. So it'll be Dosumu, Ant, Jaden, Naz, and Rudy as your starting five there.
Okay. Well, me being the Spurs fan now.
Yeah.
Being a Spurs fan, die hard, right? All in.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I was hoping for a better finals, but it is what it is. I mean, if either of the two teams have the horsepower to make a return in the upcoming years, I feel like it's going to be the Spurs. Pretty youthful. A lot of good things going in the right direction. Knicks are good. Not going to discredit anything they did. They earned every bit of it. Yeah. They deserved nothing, earned everything.
Yeah. Pretty crazy run that they went on to win that whole thing.
But being a Spurs fan now, the diehard Spurs fan, I still feel bad for the Timberwolves. And I was so hoping that Giannis would wind up in Minnesota because it appears to get to the NBA Finals, you just have to leave the T-Wolves.
That's true.
Apparently that's your ticket to the NBA Finals.
It's only happened 4 times,
Right.
And it'll probably happen a 5th time once Ant leaves.
Right.
So.
You just have to leave. But I was hoping Giannis would end up in Minnesota, give him a chance, get through the first, second round, whatever, be a little more competitive, get closer to the finals. But your only ticket there now is to leave them. And that's it. It's like an automatic bid to the NBA Finals. Just leave the T-Wolves roster, and you're there.
Yeah, it's they're not a poverty franchise, but it's definitely one of those things where you're just like, what the hell? It's just like they're like cursed or something. And like the whole state of Minnesota, as far as sports is concerned, like after those Kirby Puckett years where they won the World Series, it's just there's been a sports curse that has been placed on that state, and they're just not allowed to do anything good. And if you leave it, then you can be more successful than you were when you were there.
Yeah.
Case in point, especially for basketball, you've got Garnett, you've got Love, you've got Wiggins, and now Cat has been added to that list of people that have left and then immediately won a championship with the team that they left to go to. Right.
Correct.
So that's really unfortunate, and I don't really know how to pinpoint it. There's been a couple of people that have asked me, like, what do the Wolves do now? Like, why do they keep getting put in this situation? Yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, I don't know. This is how I view it, and what I said to a couple friends that asked me a couple weeks ago when the NBA was still going on was I kind of view it as a mentality thing. I think if the Wolves played everybody like they play the Nuggets, I don't think there's anybody that they lose to.
True story.
There's something about
nemesis.
There's something about the attitude that they go into those games with when they play the Nuggets, where they're like, "You're not going to beat us. We hate you so much that we want to beat you and we want to embarrass you. So this is what we're going to do." And they expend all their energy on that, and then they move on to these next rounds. And sometimes they end up winning in the second round and making it to the finals, like they did the 2 prior years. And then other times you run into whatever it was this year. Because I thought they had the skill level and the talent to be able to not only hang with the Spurs, but beat them. Mm-hmm. And I think they proved that in Game 1. Obviously, it didn't help that Ant wasn't 100%, and DiVincenzo tore an Achilles in the series before that. But, I think the talent is there. I like Chris Finch as a coach, but it's just like there's this mentality thing, and it's kind of what's going on with the Packers a little bit too, where, like, I look at those rosters and I go, it's talented enough to win a championship, but you have to have that killer mentality to go in there and go, all right, we're going to treat everybody as the enemy, and we hate you just as much as we hate the next team, and we want to embarrass you and beat you.
See, and Giannis could potentially bring that.
Yeah,
he
and I was always
that.
Yeah, they were never going to get Giannis without giving up Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah,
and there's two reasons they're not going to do that is because they really enjoy Jaden, who he is as even stepping into his own role this year as a better scorer, but he's also a lockdown defender, and he's one of Ant's best friends.
Yeah,
they came into the league together. You get rid of Jaden, now you open yourself a whole new can of worms with that as to how Ant's going to feel about it. And so it's this, political, social thing that you got to try to navigate to keep your best player there.
Yeah.
So
understood.
Yeah,
I'll get over it. I'll get over the finals.
Yeah,
it'll be good.
Yeah, we'll see. An impressive run by the Spurs for a young team, but somebody pointed out the other day, everybody's like, and it is, the Spurs' future is bright, Wemby's future is bright, but there were plenty of bright futures that never made it back to the finals.
Very true.
This one, though. It's a hard thing to do.
Not this one. I got a feeling.
It's a very hard thing to do, especially in the Western Conference when you have as much firepower in the Western Conference as they do, when you've still got to go up against OKC again. The Nuggets are always going to be a threat with Jokic. Ant and the Wolves are always, they've been there the last couple of years. If Luke is healthy, you've got the Lakers involved. Plus, who knows what's going to happen with the Mavericks and Cooper Flag as they get better.
How come nobody jumped on my comment about getting Fox off the freaking floor?
I think
nobody jumped.
We all agreed with it. I think you said the obvious part out loud.
Oh, it was killing me. Yeah. It was killing me. Game in, game out, it was killing me.
Yeah,
get the man off the floor.
The fact that the Spurs went on as long of a run as they did with that guy playing like he didn't know what a basketball was
oh my goodness,
for like a month and a half, because he didn't play well at all throughout the finals, and he didn't play well at all throughout the playoffs. He had a couple good shots here and there, but
he was a pretty significant factor when they showed the illustration with what the Spurs were averaging in the first quarter, second, third, fourth. He was a pretty significant factor in why those numbers were dropping off in the third and the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And it happened every game in the finals. Every game, it's like they need this shot. Yeah. Like this is,
and it didn't pass the eyeball test either. You'd look at it and you'd be like, something's off here. This isn't right. And he was one of the main reasons. But, yeah. How about Dusty May winning a championship at Michigan and then going to be the coach for the Mavs?
How about?
Interesting.
Good move, right?
I guess.
Solid.
You think so?
Yeah.
Gets to go coach Cooper Flag now, and I guess he doesn't have to deal with any of the NIL crap that's going on. But
how are things in Dallas? Have they calmed down a little bit since Luka?
A little bit. It definitely helps when you are able to, be gifted one of the best NBA prospects in recent memory.
Sure.
In Cooper Flag, and immediately be able to replace that right away. I think I brought it up.
You mean by that lottery?
Yeah,
by that
thing
unbiased lottery.
That thing that happened behind closed doors, and we're just supposed to take your word for it.
Yeah.
I think it's been a little bit better, but
sounds like pickleball bidding is what it sounds like right there.
Something crazy about Michigan coaches winning national championships and then immediately going to the pros.
Yeah, weird.
What's up with that?
If they actually get to finish as the coach, or if they're let go because of
reasons,
sexual misconduct.
I guess, but I was more referring to Harbaugh winning a championship and then going to the Chargers, and now May wins a championship.
He was pending an investigation too. That's what
I mean. Is there an investigation coming out of somewhere?
It's coming.
Yeah.
Well, there was some sports betting stuff related to Michigan.
Michigan basketball?
Yeah. So yeah. So
Classic.
they were listing. You and I talked about the sports betting thing, and then all these other teams. How long ago did we have the conversation when was it Patino who left and went to Arkansas?
Oh, Calipari.
Okay, there you go. And there was potential for whatever that legal enforcement authority was, whatever their title was, had mentioned. They had alleged that there were X number of schools, big schools, in college basketball that were under investigation and that were having things audited and looked at and all that. And it was going to be some jaw-dropping stuff and some names were going to get surfaced and do all that.
Where did that go?
And we're kind of joking around, and all of a sudden it's like, Michigan's probably in the mix. Something was stated. I'm not going to put something out there that's not true, but something was stated about either a player or players from Michigan were being looked at as potentially being involved in something.
Okay.
What comes of it? Maybe nothing. I have no idea. They've got their hands full with Sorsby here, so they've got other
incredible
things to occupy their
segue. That's
time.
why you're the best co-host of the game.
You're welcome. I am the color commentator.
Incredible segue. So we're going to get into it. So last week we talked about Brendan Sorsby and the absolute shit show that was everything that was going on with him. You've got $90,000 worth of bets happening. 41 of those bets being on his own team when he was in Indiana. NCAA comes down. They're like, nope, you're never going to play an NCAA game again. Some retired judge in the middle of Lubbock, Texas, that's never left Lubbock, Texas, that went to public school in Lubbock, Texas, that went to Texas Tech University and got his undergrad and then went to Texas Tech Law School, gets pulled out of retirement. And then all of a sudden is like, yeah, sure, he can play, whatever.
But we'll suspend him for 2 games.
Yeah, we'll suspend him for 2 games. 2 games that don't matter.
Right.
So anyway, we've got all of that happening. Well, immediately after that, after we talked about all of that and then we released the episode, there were some things that had transpired. So in the last 2 weeks, the whole story has taken a massive permanent turn. What's happening here?
Here was the funniest one, though, before you get into that. Here was the funniest one. It happened one day after you and I talked about it. This released later, we understand. But one day after that, it said that the athletic directors from all of the other schools in the Big 12 just said, that's fine. We just aren't going to schedule them. We just aren't going to play them.
Yeah.
We're just not going to schedule them. So I don't know how much traction that actually gained. I don't know if that ever came to fruition. I don't know if those were just idle threats because people were upset with the situation or how it was handled. I have no idea. But that was quite comical. However, powerful move because you and I sat here saying, hey, Big 12, step up. What are you going to do? Where are you going to intervene and how are you going to do it?
Yeah.
And then athletic directors from all these other Big 12 schools are like, we're just not going to play them.
Yeah. So just days after winning the historic temporary injunction on June 8th, which would have allowed him to play after his 2-game suspension, the reality of massive, messy legal war set in. So on June 15th, Texas Tech billionaire booster and Regents Chairman Cody Campbell released an open letter announcing that Sorsby would not play for the Red Raiders this fall. The reason for that is because the NCAA and the Big 12 immediately countersued and threw a barrage of legal filings into separate courts. Facing months of courtroom gridlock and zero certainty about whether he'd actually be able to be allowed on the field in Week 3, Sorsby and his family decided to cut bait and basically decided that they weren't going to pursue his college football eligibility. So on Thursday, June 18th, Sorsby's legal team officially filed a motion for dismissal in the Lubbock County District Court, voluntarily dropping his lawsuit against the NCAA.
For a reason.
By dropping the suit, Sorsby voluntarily became permanently ineligible for NCAA play again, completely ending his college career. But this wasn't a surrender. It was a calculated chess move to unlock the next step.
Correct.
That next step being he would then qualify for the NFL Supplemental Draft. A player must have their college eligibility status change after the main April draft. By dropping the lawsuit and letting the NCAA lock him out, Sorsby officially qualified. Sorsby has met the deadline, which was June 22nd of 2026, and he is now tentatively scheduled to hold a private pro day showcase for NFL scouts during the week following the 4th of July Carroll Senior High, or following the 4th of July at Carroll Senior High in Southlake, Texas. The actual supplemental draft is expected to take place in late July.
Now, what you got to look at, Ryan, what you have to look at, when's the last time that the supplemental draft was actually executed?
I don't know. This
Terrell Pryor.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Terrell Pryor.
Yeah.
And there was one other name that escapes me, but Terrell Pryor was one of the last times, which was a long time ago. Is this kid and all of this stuff and this garbage and all of this drama that he's carrying with him, is anybody going to entertain that? I mean, are you going to, is he that good?
All right, well, we've talked about
Do you
it,
want that circus coming to town, Lane Kiffin? Like, do you?
I mean, this goes back to what we talked about last week, where it's like there's not just everything that he's gone through with the fact that he obviously was betting on sports, but there's also the argument they used in order to get that ruling in place, where it would be damaging to his current condition,
his mental health,
being that of he has a gambling addiction,
right?
And so he needs to go to rehab. So in April, he voluntarily admits himself into rehab, and this stuff just doesn't go away. Like, you don't just get better from this overnight.
Apparently he did.
I mean, I guess, but that would be cause for concern. I mean, you know as well as I do, based in the areas that we've worked, that he's going to relapse. It's a part of recovery. He's not going to be perfect. So what's that going to look like? And
It's
we're also
not a relapse if you never stop.
And we're also talking about a guy that probably would have only been a late, like a mid-round to a late draft pick as it is anyway.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff going on here about a guy that threw 33 touchdowns and probably just as many interceptions and didn't ever have a winning record wherever he started. And I mean, physically, everybody likes his build. Pro Football Focus had, and other analysts have noted his elite physical profile, which is 6'3", 235. Huge arm. Multiple high-level scouts comparing him and his raw tools to that of Jay Cutler, and he's viewed as a legitimate mid-round talent. But whose front office is going to take a risk and go, yeah, sure, in this supplemental draft, we'll give up a 4th-round pick for a kid that didn't really show us anything in college that was jumping off the page.
No, poor character and unproven.
Clearly has a severe gambling addiction.
Poor character, unproven talent. I wouldn't throw anything at him.
Yeah.
And I think mid-round, like mid-draft talent, I think that would be a desperation call from a team that was extremely quarterback needy.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm no player evaluator at anything of the such. I'm just looking at where he was, where he came from, what he accomplished with where he was at. There isn't anything that's standing off the paper when you look at that stuff.
Yeah.
I watched him play.
Yeah.
I watched him physically play one game sample, but I watched him play Iowa State. There was nothing spectacular there. We've talked about many times where you'll watch a sporting event of any nature and the people that are like, wow, they stand up, they stand out. They pass the eye test. It's like, these guys are special. They're different. They're not necessarily one of one, but they're different, right? This kid didn't do anything spectacular, and there's nothing in his resume that suggests that he would continue to do anything that would be anything more than a mid-round, mid-level desperation by a Panthers team that desperately needs a quarterback.
Yeah, but when you've got teams that are like having quote-unquote leaked reports, like the Jets and the Browns, who have said that they're unlikely to bid because they want absolutely no part of sports gambling baggage.
Absolutely. Good for them.
Those two teams, with all the baggage they've had at quarterback, are looking at this and going, no, we don't want anything to do with it.
Yep.
I mean, that should be enough evidence for anybody to go, yeah, I think we're good. Some insiders have pointed at heavily linking him to teams with established starters who can afford a developmental project, specifically that of teams like the Packers or the Buccaneers. But again, knowing what I know about the Packers, are they going to give up a 4th-round pick to go get this guy in a supplemental draft just to develop him? I don't really see them doing it. They covet those picks so much. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Somebody's going to take a flyer on him, but ultimately, if this is another story of a guy that just kind of disappears into the ether of football if he doesn't have this huge scandal behind him.
Yep.
He goes to Texas Tech. He does whatever he does. He plays a year. Maybe he gets drafted in the 6th round, and he becomes a footnote in the history of college sports and a little bit of pro football after that, and doesn't really ever become anything. But because of this, we're talking about it, and just because of the way this legal system has worked out and how you can file an injunction and then have that injunction taken away, and then you can go back and in separate courts you can file another claim and then do all this stuff. And then, I mean, good for him for, I guess, playing the game and getting what he wanted out of it.
Well, and good for the NCAA, because the NCAA got ousted in their initial ruling, and they still had the thumb on him. When he filed his dismissal, the NCAA didn't have to approve it right away.
Yeah.
They didn't have to honor it. And if they would have waited to June 23rd to honor that, he would have been ineligible for college and the supplemental draft.
Yeah, they could have really.
So hats off to them.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, hey, we got what we wanted. Ultimately, we don't want you in the NCAA. Fine. You think you got a shot at the supplemental draft? By all means, we'll honor this by your deadline. But they still had a thumb in it. In the end, they still had a thumb in it.
The only thing that really still bugs me about the fact that, you know, the NCAA still doesn't have any sort of pull in this is this didn't gain any teeth until the Big 12 entered it.
Right.
So the Big 12 enters, and then in a combination with the NCAA and the Big 12, they countersue, and then all of a sudden this has teeth. And
Thank you, Big 12.
Yeah. And good for them for doing the right thing. And we talked about that too. It's like at one point you step in and do what you're supposed to do and go, okay, like if we want to hold up the, you know, this integrity of the sport and do what we're supposed to do, like every other league talks about, then you need to stand behind it and go, yeah, this isn't right.
Yep.
Regardless of whatever else happened. But I mean, like there are hard and fast rules, and this is one of them. You don't bet on your own sport, regardless if it wasn't on your own team, regardless if it wasn't against your own team. You just don't do it. It looks bad.
Yes.
Especially when you've set precedents like we did before, where you've got one guy that's bet $10 on a girls' basketball game, self-admitted it, and then they're like, yeah, you can't ever play again.
Correct.
Meanwhile, this guy almost had an opportunity to play an entire season after betting $90,000 and betting 40 different times on his own team.
Standards are a wee bit different throughout the league.
And it's always going to be different from person to, you know, organization, things like that. Yes, there was a lot of different things that organizations did over time that maybe skirted the rules, but but everybody was doing it as well. I mean, we all knew that.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up if somebody ends up taking a flyer on him. But at the end of the day, you know, realizing the Big 12 was going to tie him up in court until November, he basically said screw it and was like, all right, we're just going to go ahead and accept the terms and conditions of what the NCAA wanted, and now he gets an opportunity to maybe play in the bigs. I'm just super curious to see how this plays out from an addiction standpoint.
Agreed.
Obviously, I wish him the best, and I don't want this to get in the way of anything that he's going to do in the future. But you have to take a serious look at it if you're an employer and go, ugh, you know, you were just in rehab in April, and the only reason you went there is because you got caught.
Right.
So
obvious concerns.
Very
glaring.
Obvious. So
big red flag.
On the heels of this, college sports. This is an article by Joey Capoletti, the Associated Press. College sports bill clears House Senate hurdle despite SEC and Big Ten opposition. This AP Wire story from Joey Capoletti is a massive development. And this isn't just standard Washington paperwork. It is a literal declaration of war between Capitol Hill and the two most powerful conferences in the sport. Here are the core details, the real-world impact, and the exact talking points that we're going to go over. So number one is going to be what the bill actually does. And we touched on this just a little bit last week, but I wanted to get more in depth into it this week because I think it's super interesting as to what could happen if this ends up getting passed. So the legislation is called the Protect College Sports Act, and it just cleared the Senate Commerce Committee on a heavy 19-9 bipartisan vote. It is a product of months of intense backroom deal-making between Senator Ted Cruz and Senator Maria Cantwell. And if this passes the full Senate, it will legally force the NCAA to implement 3 massive structural changes. One of those changes is the transfer rule. It legally limits athletes to 1 free transfer over their entire college career. No more unlimited multi-year portal hopping.
Portal pilot.
How do you feel about that?
I'm all in. I was all in when it first was introduced, and I'm all in now.
Okay.
100% all in.
Number 2, the coach rule. It creates a federal restriction preventing coaches from changing jobs during a live season.
Gray area. Why would a coach change a job during a live season? Did a coach lose a job? Or are you saying that they are...
So is this a Lane Kiffin thing?
Correct. And are they admittedly, I'm stepping away for a job at LSU?
Sure.
Are they terminated from their employment, or are they actively still engaged, still status as a coach at such and such university, just wishing to go somewhere else. If it is that, I agree with the rule.
Yeah, I think this to me reads as though it's like the Lane Kiffin thing or the dude from Iowa State going to Penn State or, all of that stuff where you're still actively involved in the season. Like, there's still games to be played.
Yep.
Whether you're in a bowl game or you're in the college football playoff or whatever it might be. Like, you're a part of that team. You got to finish out the season. It's everything that we talked about. There's no reason why we can't move some of this stuff back. And maybe if this does get passed, it changes kind of when and how we do the transfer portal. So it's more akin to, okay, so now we have new coaching hires, and then we can get into transfer portal stuff and then building out the rosters. Because we got plenty of time to do that. Like, why we're doing it in December, early January, it's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, you like that rule because you're the one pounding your fist on the table about wait till the end of the season.
Well, yeah, it just makes sense,
wait
right?
till the end of the season.
Yeah.
Honor your contract. Honor the kids. Have a wee bit of loyalty.
It'd be like, imagine if Andy Reid just got up and left in round 1 because he got an offer to go coach the Panthers.
I'll be honest, there were times last year.
I'm sure there were.
Might
but
not
I mean,
have broke my heart.
It doesn't make any sense, does it? Like, you've got a contractual obligation.
Yes.
Towards this team that you're on.
Yes.
And I understand if somebody's going to come out and be like, they're two separate entities. It doesn't work the same. But just using it as an example, could you imagine that? Typically, no. You're going to finish out the season. All right. So that's number 2.
Let's add this to it. Players can't transfer.
Yeah.
Until the end of the season.
Yeah.
You want to go in the portal? Great, you're in the portal.
100%.
Cannot
I think
transfer
until
the end of
absolutely
season.
100% locked in for that year.
Off-season portal transfer only.
Correct. So, and then the other third thing that would be implemented would be the media rights pool. So it contains a highly controversial provision that allows smaller athletic conferences to pool their television and media rights together to negotiate larger broadcast contracts as a block.
Go ahead.
Don't care.
Go ahead. Money talks. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the reason this caught my eye wasn't because of the legislation. I was curious to know why the SEC and the Big Ten are furious. Because anytime the two largest entities in the NCAA, which are the SEC and the Big Ten, whenever the big guys are pissed off about something, I'm always curious as to why. Right?
Yep.
I'm like, what? Why? What is it going to do that's going to hinder your ability to control the sport is usually where my brain goes.
Correct. Or manipulate the sport.
Correct. Yep. So hours before the vote took place on June 18th, the SEC and the Big Ten released a rare joint statement. So that's another crucial thing as well. These like together? Okay, now I'm even more curious. A rare joint statement completely opposing the bill. They are heavily lobbying senators to kill it before it hits the floor. Reason number 1, the money fight. So Greg Sankey, who we've talked about on the show before, and Tony Petitti of the Big Ten are fiercely against the media rights pooling provision. I wonder why. They know it's a direct attempt by Washington to help smaller conferences compete financially with their multi-billion-dollar TV contracts. As Senator Cantwell bluntly put it after the vote, we're not going to let the most powerful, richest conferences dictate the rest of to America what's going to happen to the 500,000 athletes.
Solid statement.
I mean,
no analysis necessary.
Yeah.
Like, there it is.
Yeah. The litigation trap. Sankey argues that the current language of the bill is poorly written and will actually invite a massive wave of new antitrust lawsuits rather than protecting the schools from them. I don't know anything about that. I don't have any sort of, I'm not going to, I'll be honest.
It's out of my arena.
I'm not going to go read the bill.
No, I am not.
Typically, there's a lot of BS jargon in there anyway. But yeah, I agree. I mean, and that was kind of where I thought before I read the article as well. I'm like, this is going to have something to do with money. This is going to have something to do with control. They're going to feel like, oh, it's not fair, even though they've been playing outside of the rules for a long period of time. While
they have benefited so much from no oversight that it's sickening.
Exactly. Similar to other discussions that we've had both on the show and in other areas where it's like, you're just mad that this isn't going to go the way that you want it to go.
Correct. So
the congressional split is number 3, the home team senators. So the vote split doesn't follow standard political party lines. It followed college football loyalty. So senators from states with massive SEC and Big Ten powerhouses like Michigan, Indiana, and Mississippi completely crossed the aisle to vote against the bill to protect their local universities.
Mm-hmm.
That is so insanely stupid to me.
Yeah, but it's loyal, so let's go with it.
I mean, I guess. So you're not loyal to your political party, but you'll be loyal to your school, and you're still like not using your deductive reasonings as to why this bill should be important. You're still choosing your own personal selfish, basically just what you want. out of it.
College football is king, Ryan. College football takes precedence over everything else.
NCAA President Charlie Baker has publicly celebrated the vote, desperately hoping that Congress gives him the federal power to control the transfer portal. This goes to what we've talked about for a while. I mean, it would allow for some form of commissioner to step in and go, and yes, you can, no, you can't. It's going to be ugly no matter. It's either going to be the Wild West of what it is now, or you have a guy like Charlie Baker take it over, and you're going to have some things that he's going to do that you're going to agree with. You're going to have other things that you're going to disagree with. It's just how it goes, right? We look at all of the commissioners of the different sports. You know, Roger Goodell for the NFL is universally hated, it seems like, to the point now where it's a joke. Adam Silver, not really the most lovable guy in the world. Rob Manfred for the MLB. I can't really find anybody that's like in love with these commissioners.
No.
But again, I don't think you're supposed to be, because they're not always going to do the things that you want. But
they got to make hard decisions.
At least there's some form of oversight, I guess.
Right.
So checks and balances. So the timeline to watch is Senator Majority Leader John Thune has stated that he wants to bring the bill to a full 60 vote on the Senate floor debate by July. So basically next month, before the August recess. So the bill is a massive deal because it isn't just a set of minor tweaks. It's a full-scale federal reconstruction of college sports. And I'm still so curious, like all of the legal aspects that are involved in all of this.
Yeah.
Every single time we talk about college football,
legal.
So much legal stuff.
Correct.
It's crazy.
It's like you can't even go on a recruiting trip without an attorney.
Yeah. Like I don't hear about any. I've had other conversations about pro sports where I'm like, if you're an NBA player and somebody just assaults you, another player comes up to you and just beats the piss out of you.
Yeah.
Can you press charges for assault? I've always wondered that. I don't
Right.
know. I've never taken the time to look into it.
I've learned that if I want to make money, I need to get my legal degree and be a sports agent at the same time. A sports agent.
For real.
For these guys
Yeah.
with the NIL and all the nonsense, with also the attorney background to hammer all this stuff out, solid career path.
Yeah.
There it is.
So this gets broken down into a couple different things, and you've got Washington politicians trying to stop the entire system from turning into a two-conference professional minor league, and the other side, like the SEC and the Big Ten, are fighting to protect their multi-billion-dollar monopolies. So one, the roster impact, so capping transfer freedom and free agency. If you're a coach trying to manage the locker room, the transfer portal has turned college football into a chaotic year-round game of free agency, which I have to admit is kind of fun. I mean, just from a pure, like, it's fun to watch and kind of see what goes on and how these different things have gone on. So the bill is a direct hammer to that mobility. So the one and done rule, the legislation codifies a strict one transfer policy for players entering college for their entire college career. The student athlete can transfer one time without penalty. And if they transfer a second time, they face an automatic mandatory 1-year sit-out penalty where they lose eligibility.
Which it used to be.
Yep. So definitely, you kind of got to weigh your options there. You can't just be whose son was recently moving around a ton. I think we talked about, I can't remember who it was, but it was Scottie Pippen's kid, I think.
Oh, sure.
I think he wasn't happy with where he was, so he's just going to move around and do some other things. So
yep.
Definitely kind of got to weigh your options there. So the loophole exceptions would be a player can only get around the second transfer penalty under very specific circumstances.
Like a retired Texas judge.
So if their head coach leaves the program, if their sport is discontinued by the university, or in documented cases of sexual assault or harassment.
Or a federal judge was an alum of said university for the third transfer.
Again, a lot of legal stuff in it, but if this passes, this would kind of circumvent all of that other legal jargon that we've been dealing with, and you'd have a hard and fast rule on how a lot of this stuff does. There would also be an eligibility clock, and we've talked about this before. It locks in a strict 5 calendar year eligibility cap starting at a player's 19th birthday or high school graduation. So the clock only pauses for military service, religious missions, or pregnancy. And the coach lock. In a move that feels directly inspired by Lane Kiffin's recent mid-season flip to LSU, the bill contains a federal provision that completely restricts football coaches, why just football coaches, from changing jobs during the live season. So the big takeaway is this completely rolls back the unlimited transfer freedom that players have enjoyed recently, forces players to stay put, gives coaches their roster stability back, and puts an end to players jumping schools every single winter for a higher NIL bid.
Yeah.
Listen.
Oversight.
Oversight. I'm usually not one for more government in my life, but none of this really sounds all that bad.
None of it does.
I don't need the wild.
In fact, It sounds like a whole lot of common sense.
Well, I think
truthfully,
I think it preserves everything that we love about college sports.
Right.
There's a lot of people that are like, I don't like the NIL, I don't like the transfer portal, it's ruining the college game that I love. There was a reason why I liked college, because it was, and for reasons you've stated on the show before, where it's ruining recruiting processes and different things like that. Like,
yes,
there are some people out there that are very much, this is not what I want from college. I don't want it to be a minor league system. I want it to remain college sports, amateur. So the other thing that's happening is that financial war. So media rights pooling versus the power of two, which would be the SEC and the Big Ten. So they're furious. It's a direct legislative attack on the financial gap between the Power Two and the rest of college football. So when we talked about the media rights, the bill explicitly amends the Sports Broadcasting Act to grant colleges a limited antitrust exception to pool their television and media rights together and negotiate broadcast contracts as a massive unified block. To trigger it, 75% of schools in the Football Bowl subdivision, otherwise known as the FBS, have to agree. That's interesting. The wealth redistribution by pooling the rights, smaller conferences like the Mountain West, the MAC, or what's left of the Pac-12 can bundle their games into a bigger brand, and the bill mandates that revenue distribution must be granted a minimum allocation to every member school, so artificially elevating the income of these smaller athletic departments so that they don't drown financially, which I think is fine, right? Like, based on what that says there, the SEC and the Big Ten are still going to get their money. These guys
Everybody else is going to have a shot.
Yeah, right? So the anti-expansion guardrail, the bill sets a $700 million revenue floor that triggers a strict anti-expansion rule. It effectively bans mega conferences like the SEC and the Big Ten from continuing to consolidate power, merge, or grow larger by poaching more schools.
Yes. Equally important.
Yeah. Because we've just seen them
because the Big Ten is the Big 18 right now.
I was going to say, we need to rebrand. And then finally, the local broadcast mandate. It forces a rule stating that all football and basketball games must be broadcast with an institution's local designated market completely free of charge. This stops the media giants from locking historic local rivalries between expensive, subscription-only streaming platforms.
There you go.
Wait, do I still have the applause button on here?
Just hit a random button. It's fine.
I'm all for that, man. I'm so
work.
sick and tired of these blackouts and like finding other ways to nickel and dime us to watch the things that we want to watch.
Correct.
It's insane.
Correct.
So, and finally,
the fact that you have to spend 10 minutes on a sports app trying to find what broadcast or where it's coming from.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
Well, especially if you live in North Carolina and you're trying to watch Duke and UNC, and all of a sudden you've got to pay for Peacock just to watch it.
Right.
That's insanely stupid. You live in the state. You're a diehard.
You can hear the fans from where you're sitting. Yes.
Stupid. So finally, why the SEC and the Big Ten are lobbying to kill it. The Power Two are totally fine with the transfer caps and the rules to stop coaches from leaving mid-season. What they hate is the financial intervention. They argue that forcing media rights, pooling the artificial market manipulation that won't actually generate the extra revenue supporters claim it will. More importantly, they want Washington capping. They don't want Washington capping their growth and telling them that they have to share television wealth with smaller, insignificant conferences. Oh, then I just wouldn't schedule them. If I was those other conferences, I feel like, which probably wouldn't work out very well for them because they'd miss out on big money. But I mean, who are you going to get to play your little patty cake games in the early season?
Correct.
You're going to need to share some of this, man. So with Majority Senate Leader John Thune planning to bring it to the floor next month, the SEC and the Big Ten are lobbying machines and working overtime to flip senators from powerhouse football states before August recess. Sounds like, you just got to be an alumni there. It is crazy to me how often we read these stories, and whether it's a judge, a politician, a lawyer, whoever. I went to school. I graduated from a college, Division II here in South Dakota. If Black Hill State came to me and were like, hey, Ryan, we really need you to support this, and I was completely against it, there is no way I would just flip and say, well, because of my loyalty to you, I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, I'm good with this.
Right.
You already got all my money.
Yeah.
Why am I loyal to somebody that basically swindled me out of $40,000+ to go to school for a degree that I don't even can use anymore?
Right.
It is insane to me. Like, are you that loyal to the school that you went to?
No, I delete their emails and I've asked to be blocked from their phone system.
And I understand I didn't, and somebody's gonna be like, well, you didn't go to one of these like big schools. That's
Don't
just
care.
Whatever.
No
But,
difference.
I mean,
Smaller
there's some
scale.
people I went, that I know personally that are like South Dakota State people, and they bleed blue and yellow, man. It's like all they talk about. But again, that school doesn't give a shit about you, man. All they want is your support and your money.
That's it. So they can compete with North Dakota State.
But
That's
it's like, if you followed anything else this close in your life that actually mattered and had your like morals line up with something else other than a school, it's crazy to me.
Yes.
I was on vacation in Jamaica with a guy, a big Clemson fan. Darius Rucker came on as we were just chilling out, right?
Hootie.
He goes, change the song. And I said, why? He goes, because he's a Gamecock and I don't listen to anybody from South Carolina.
Wow.
Really?
That's intense.
And listen, I get it. I'm not from the South. I don't, whatever. But I can totally get to the point where we were like, at one point in our history, in our American history, where that part of the country was like, nope, we're going to succeed and be our own thing and make our own rules. Because we're so stubborn with how we feel about certain things and how we want things to align.
Right.
And who we like and who we don't like. We just rather just not have to deal with it. I'm not saying there's not good people down there, but I can see the mindset, and I'm like, this is crazy to me. It's just it's just Hootie, man. Let's chill. Let's chill out here for a minute.
Correct.
So somebody will have to comment and explain that one to me if you've been to a bigger school as to why the loyalty is so big after you've given them all your money. It's weird.
Don't know.
I don't know how those two things correlate, but. Finally, our last story involves the MLB. Kelly always loved talking about baseball, especially when it comes to the integrity of the game and what's happening. But this story comes from Adam Wells at Bleacher Report, and the MLB players overwhelmingly predict a lockout as voting results reveal the new polling. So Adam Wells outlines a massive looming storm moving towards Major League Baseball. Even though the sport is currently seeing excellent attendance, strong TV ratings halfway through the 2026 season, but a total labor war is brewing for the winter. And I think everybody kind of knows that this is happening, but we're just refusing to think about it. We'd rather talk about crap. I can't remember his name, but I think he's currently pitching for the Brewers. Of the top 30 fastest pitches in MLB history, I think he owns like 25 of them.
Oh,
and they've all happened in the last month.
Yeah.
He's consistently pitching like 105. So we'd rather talk about that. We'd rather talk about, the fact that the Mets spend millions of dollars and don't get to participate in October baseball and all of this other stuff, right? But what is currently happening and what is brewing for about May, April of next year in 2027 is the current collective bargaining agreement that between the league and the Players Association that is officially set to expire on December 1st, 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So what they did was they took a poll, and the poll was over different core issues, mainly being, do you think that there will be a lockout in 2027? Of the 101 players that were surveyed by The Athletic, the results showed that about 81 of those players said, yeah, there's going to be a lockout. So they explicitly stated that they believe the official lockout will happen the second the calendar hits December 2nd. The rest, so those 19 players, said that they weren't sure yet, and only about 2 that responded with a hard no. I'd like to know who those 2 were.
They don't want you to know.
The reality is players are openly telling reporters that veteran leaders are already telling the younger guys on the roster to start saving their paychecks now, warning them that the start of the 2027 season is highly likely to be delayed. And we just went through this, 3 or 4 years ago?
Yes.
Where we're like, oh, it's locking out, but we know that they're not going to miss out on this, and it just magically sorted itself out like right before opening day, and it was all good, right?
Yes, it did.
So the deal breaker, Kelly, and something we've covered on this show before, salary cap. I have been on this show many a time complaining about the fact that you want to talk about the Wild West of spending, MLB is your number one on that list. They're just kind of allowed to do whatever they want, to spend whatever they want. You can defer payments. You want to pay for a guy? He can play for you now. You can pay for him in 2077 if you want to. Everything's made up and the rules don't matter type of thing. And why the salary cap was never going to be a legit thing is because it basically puts a cap on the earnings that the players can make. And the players, if they don't have to, they don't want to put a cap on the earnings. If somebody came up and said, hey, Kelly, we're not going to pay you any more than this ever again. We're going to put a cap on what you can make. You wouldn't like that either.
No.
Totally taking away your ability to provide more for your family and, just have more money in your pocket. So while the 2022 lockout was mostly about the minor league play system and service time manipulation and luxury tax thresholds, the 2026 dispute is hitting an all-time nuclear button in baseball labor history. It's a hard salary cap. So the owners, who are the MLB, are proposing to set the initial CBA proposal that would hard cap the salaries at or the payroll, at $245.3 million, and it would also have a floor of $171.2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean by a floor?
Yeah, it cannot go lower.
That's how much they have to spend.
That's how much they have to spend.
That's the least amount
Correct.
that they can spend, right?
Correct.
So the players will also, the MLBPA has fundamentally opposed hard salary cap for decades. They view the cap as a hard restriction on player earning power and free agency value, while ownership argues that the cap is a way to fix the league's massive competitive balance issues, like smaller market teams trying to compete against a $300 million payroll, like that of the Yankees, Mets, or Dodgers. Basically, it's a redistribution of wealth, right? Which is kind of a funny thing that the owners would want in some ways. I'd be curious to know if there are some owners that don't want this for reasons. So the last time we talked about this, there's a lot of parallels between the 1994 lockout and what happened here. So the last time the MLB owners tried to force a salary cap into the Players Association was in 1994, and that dispute triggered a catastrophic player strike that completely wiped out the final stretch of the regular season and canceled the entire World Series. While in 22, the lockout resolved around right before the regular season, which we just talked about. Players in this new poll are admitted that because the salary cap is such a toxic, immovable subject for both sides, they expect negotiations to drag all the way through the winter, meaning missed regular season games in 2027 are a very real possibility. What this looks like is if the rule went into effect today, it would trigger absolute chaos for exactly 21 of the 30 teams in the MLB. And would be an immediate violation of the new rule, forcing unprecedented waves of mandatory roster stripping and artificial spending. 21 of 30, Kelly.
Yes.
So the luxury tax burn, the 7 teams forced to slash payroll would be as follows. It would be the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Jays, the Red Sox, and the Padres. So under a hard $245.3 million cap, the league's biggest spenders wouldn't just pay a luxury tax penalty like they do now. They would be legally blocked from carrying their roster. So 7 teams are currently over that line and would be forced to aggressively trade away star players or dump salaries. So, for instance, the Los Angeles Dodgers are currently $176.5 million over the new proposed cap.
They are more over the proposed cap than the proposed floor of this new bill.
That is very true. That is very true. Basically meaning they would have to take 3 of their highest paid players, some of their highest paid players,
Yep.
and either cut them, trade them, get them off the books in some way.
Yes.
Which to me is absolutely insane based on where we've been for the last 22 years, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I'm just going back to 1994 from the last time we had this conversation. The distribution of wealth would be nuts. I mean, you talk about in the NFL, we talk about, okay, like you can sign these 3 players, but you wouldn't get a 4th just based on how your salary cap goes. But I mean, if you were to look at some of these other teams and go, okay, you got to get rid of your 3 best players because you can't afford them, or 3 of your 5 best players because you can't afford them.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But something that excites me as one of these teams that I root for at the bottom, right? So you have the Dodgers as the highest offender. They're $176.5 million over the cap. The Mets, $135.9. The Yankees are $91.7. Phillies, $68.6. So you're talking probably 3 players for the Dodgers, 3 players for the Mets, 2 maybe that they'd have to get rid of for the Yankees, 1 for the Phillies. Toronto's up there, 61.4. And then the Red Sox and the Padres. So all these other ones wouldn't be as bad of those top 7. They probably have to, maybe get rid of 1 player type of thing. So think about the logistics here. The Dodgers are 177 over the cap. So it would literally trade away the equivalent of 3 to 4 elite players, max contract superstars, just to comply with the new law. So the other thing that's super interesting and why I wanted to talk about it is because now we're getting at really what I have turned into the crux of the whole issue of what's happening here with the MLB, Kelly, is the bargain basement team. So the 14 teams forced to spend money. These are teams that consistently have money but refuse to play the game because their owners suck. Right? So this is the side of the coin that the owners are trying to use as leverage. Right now, nearly half the league is running payrolls well below that $171.2 million floor. These 14 small market or rebuilding franchises would legally be forced to open the checkbooks and hand out massive free agent contracts. The bottom 5 consist of the Cleveland Guardians, who are only spending $86.9 million on their roster. The Miami Marlins, who are at $82.3 million. The Tampa Bay Rays, who are at $108.5. The Minnesota Twins, who are at $101.6, and the Colorado Rockies, who are at $105.3, are currently sitting at a massive $65 to $90 million below the floor. Again, we just talked about it. That's probably 2 more star players that you could add based on the money.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Yeah.
The rest of the floor violators consisted of the Cardinals, the White Sox, the Nationals, the Athletics, Brewers, Padres, Pirates, Diamondbacks, Tigers are all under that $171 million mark as well. So only 9 teams in the entire sport are currently operating inside the owner's proposed window, and I think this is interesting. So when we look at these 9 teams, which are the Cubs, who are at $256 million base, but close on tax metrics. The Braves, who are like right at the limit at 246. The Astros are right there at 248 million. The Giants are at 221 million, are the only ones who would face an immediate roster crisis. But I think it's funny that most of those teams are competing. They're kind of right around in there. They're not, suffering or overachieving, but they're competing, right?
Right.
So the MLB PA looks at these numbers and sees a trap. While the floor forces cheap owners to spend money, the hard cap competitively or completely destroys the top end market value for free agents. So if the Dodgers, Yankees, Mets are legally barred from spending past $245 million, the bidding wars for elite players completely vanishes, driving down salaries across the entire sport. And because the players view the absence of a salary cap as a fundamental right that they protected since '94, they will gladly let the league shut down on December 2nd before signing off on these specific boundaries. The one caveat that I see in all of this, who's got more to lose here by not playing games? Is it these billion-dollar owners or these million-dollar players?
Million-dollar players. All day.
100%.
Yes.
100%. So, if the owners dig in their heels,
which they're going to,
and they say, all right, we won't play games, so you won't get paid.
It won't be long.
And then the next person that talks loses. Do you think that they can do that? Do you think they will do that, or do you think they can do that?
I think it's coming.
Yeah.
I think it's going to happen.
I think it has to.
Yes.
It's not often that I want to side with a bunch of idiotic billionaires that have a ton of money and don't know what to do with it.
I can't side with the 2 players who said no. I have to side with the 81 that said it's absolutely going to happen.
I think 100%. I think we've completed, because that was the talk before the season started, was the lockout that's eventually going to happen. But I do think we're kind of living in la la land in the middle of June, July timeframe where we're not thinking about it. But this is imminent. It's like knowing the meteor is going to come and destroy the earth, and we're just kind of like, yeah, it's not going to hit till December, and it's only June. So we still got 6 more months of kind of whatever we want to do, right?
If veteran players are telling the young guys, save your paychecks, it's coming.
Yeah.
It is happening.
Yep. So I think it would be super interesting to see. I don't think it'll be some version of this that they eventually get to. Maybe it'll be a little bit higher of a cap or something. I don't know.
They'll adjust numbers.
For sure.
But it's going to happen.
Yeah. I just don't know.
That's a big jump, Brian. 171 floor to 245 max. That's a big jump. There's a lot of things that can happen in that window of money.
Yeah.
Right? That's significant.
Yeah. And I imagine we'll see those numbers, and some other things that because, it's got to be, negotiations are never a win-win. Somebody's always going to lose out,
right.
Whatever. You're never going to get everything that you want. But ultimately, I do think if some version of this goes through and we look back 10 years from now and go, you know what, that was the right decision because this is a much more competitive sport.
Which we will. It
works in everything else, right? We see it in the NFL. We see it in the NBA. We see it in all of these other sports that are capping how much you can do, and everybody's got to play with the same amount of money. Makes it a lot more interesting because then you can't just go sign Ohtani and Freeman and Mookie Betts and all of these guys, right, and create a super team. So that's been my biggest caveat. And if you want to really get back into the minutia of preserving the integrity of the sport, I think that does as well, because now you've got smaller market teams that are able to attract more people to come watch your game because you've got, because Bobby Witt Jr. is still in Kansas City and he didn't go to the Yankees, right?
Right.
He wasn't lured away.
Yet.
Or one of many Rockies players that have been fantastic over the years that I've watched just walk out the door and not get paid what they wanted, right? At least they'll be leaving these teams for what you would hope to be either good reasons or at least, maybe ideas or ideals that they didn't see eye to eye on and not just for money.
Right.
And it'll force these other teams to make better financial decisions with their money. So then for me as a Rockies fan, you won't see them sign a guy like Chris Bryant just to have a name that people can talk about, even though he's only played a handful of games.
Right.
It's a bad contract. Just because you can spend the money doesn't mean you need to, because now you get to look at your whole roster and how much you're spending and go, yeah, we could just sign a guy to put butts in seats and people go, oh, I know that guy, I recognize him. But that's going to take up $40 million a year, and that doesn't make much sense for us.
Right.
So
it's going to happen.
Yeah. Eventually. Some form of it.
And should.
Yeah. Some form of it.
Then we get to stop complaining about it.
We'll just move on to the next thing to complain
We'll
about.
find something else.
Yeah. Somebody will find a loophole.
Do.
They'll find something else that'll be like, I didn't know you could even do that.
I think the window, when you mentioned it, I think the window's going to get closer. The 245 to 171.
You think maybe 245 stays and then I go maybe, or do you think
like 190?
The floor will go up?
I think the floor is going to raise.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
They have the money. I think it's well documented. They have the money. They can pay the players, and they can do this. They can do better than.
See, in my mind, I was viewing it going from 245 to like 275, and from 170 to like 160.
No, I think 245 remains. I think the 171 jumps
to widening the gap, just because I think you appease more of those cheap ass owners, and then you also appease the owners that want to spend more, but then also the players that want to earn more. So it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. But no, I guess we'll see.
Floor will rise.
That'll be interesting.
Yes.
The floor is an interesting concept because we don't really talk about that in any other sport where it's like you have to spend this amount of money. But I do think it's a good thing because it is a problem that the Guardians are only spending $86 million.
Yes.
And the Dodgers are spending $421 million.
The Guardians are spending $86 million and have for 3 or 4 years have consistently led that division.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Miami Marlins are only spending $82 million. So, I mean, that's,
If you want a better product, if you're a fan of baseball and you want a better product, then you will support this.
I think so. Some version of it, some version that allows you to have a cap and a floor. I think.
Yes.
I think both.
Dodger fans are going to be hot.
I just like the fact that like the theme of some of this stuff that we've talked about today, that there's actually been some thought put into how do we preserve what we have and not completely ruin it, while keeping some of the things that we like about the new stuff, while also getting rid of the things that have kind of made it worse. I don't know. I would have to read more into the college football bill and see what other things are hidden in there, because there's some weird things that are hidden that they're not telling you about.
Yeah.
It's that whole, okay, what we're really focusing on is pages 1 through 3, but for some reason this bill is 500 pages long.
Right.
I'd be curious to know what else is hiding in there. And then also, like, what are some of the other concessions that either the players or the owners are looking for in this MLB agreement,
right,
that are going to rear their head up later, that are going to be an issue when we get to the next CBA. And why are these CBAs so short? Maybe it's because they want to have the flexibility to be able to come back to the table every, 4 years and have a conversation about it.
Right. Which is not all bad.
No, not really. It's annoying because I feel like we were just here, but I understand why it is, because you don't want to fall into an agreement that's 10 years long and then not be able to fix it.
Right.
This at least gives you an opportunity to have multiple agreements change over the course of your playing time.
Well, and like the NFL, the cap increases every year for the most part.
Yeah.
They had a couple where it stayed relatively the same, but it increases every year because of revenue.
Yeah.
Right. So 4 years down the road, cap was once this, it's now elevated to this. Let's revisit it. Let's talk about it. Maybe we look at numbers again.
And there's all sorts of weird numbers that they play around with. I mean, even with that Julius Randle trade that just happened in the NBA last night, they were talking about the Wolves having $33 million in adjusted expected trade value or something, but that's not the cap saving. It was a weird thing. I was like, what does that even mean?
There's a numbers guy there that's got it all figured out.
Yeah, and he works for the Vikings.
He does. In 3 different positions.
Exactly. I wonder, did they ever hire anybody?
I have no idea. I haven't seen a thing.
Yeah. Anyway. We did get a comment one that fired me up a little bit, and I think this is just, I have a lot of trolls in my life, and I think this is just him being one of them.
This is where I need some popcorn.
But
Just kick back and enjoy this show.
Nate Wentz commented on our previous episode number 95, maybe that was 2 episodes ago. I must have talked about Geno Smith or Justin Fields in some regard, because this got brought up again, and this is something he and I have gone back and forth on in our private conversations. I wish I loved someone and defended somebody as much as he does Justin Fields, because it's pretty crazy. But he comments and says, when Geno Smith gets benched in week 6, your point of an argument will be invalid, Ryan, regardless of what Fields does. Fields was, in all capitals, a starting quarterback at the time that he was, or at the time of that discussion, and in all capitals, he had a higher QB rating than Geno did last year. So we're dealing with was and was nots and everything else, right? So I would say to that comment, if you want to cherry pick stats, we can cherry pick stats all day. But what I will say at this point in time is when you have become Patrick Mahomes' backup quarterback, your career is over. He is arguably, to many, a top 5, top 10 quarterback of all time, still playing at a high level, was just recently in a Super Bowl 2 years ago. He's not going anywhere. You are now the backup to that guy. You are essentially Doug Peterson to Brett Favre. My dad and I always joked about Doug Peterson had the best job in the world. Why? Because Doug Peterson never had to play. He just showed up, got a paycheck. Favre always started the games. Even when he was hurt, Favre still went back in. Didn't matter. Doug Peterson never had to do a thing but collect a paycheck and then eventually become a coach and do all those things, right?
Yes.
Justin Fields, welcome to Doug Peterson life. You are now going to sit on the bench and study and hang out and collect a paycheck and never have to worry about starting another game in the NFL ever again.
And every player, coach, personnel, and the Chiefs organization knows exactly what your role is going to be.
100%.
There are no quarterback controversies coming.
You know who is not a backup quarterback in 2026, Kelly?
Geno Smith is
Geno Smith. You know who took Justin Fields' starting quarterback position?
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith. Because he went back to the Jets.
Let's go with
you know
another
who's
one.
not going to lose his starting quarterback position in 2026 just based on roster construction?
Not with the 3 backups they got currently at the Jets.
I can tell you, unless he gets hurt, it will not be Geno Smith because Cade Klubnik is currently what some would consider to be the second string quarterback for the Jets. Clemson fans don't even like him, and he's a work in progress, right? So third string, Brady Cook. Okay. I don't know if I could pick Brady Cook out of a lineup. Right? And the only reason I know who Bailey Zappi is because he had that weird stint with the Patriots for a while.
Right.
Those are the quarterbacks that are in New York Jets jerseys for 2026.
And not a one of those guys was drafted into the league anticipated to ever start for an NFL team.
Negative. So they brought Geno Smith in as a placeholder. That's fine. But they thought Geno was a better placeholder than Justin Fields, who is now a backup, who is basically... He's turned into this league's Carson Wentz. He's just a guy that people know his name, but he's never going to become anything more than that. I have admitted that, yes, there were some things that happened to Justin Fields early in his career that caused him to turn into the quarterback that he is now. Sometimes it's just the luck of the draw. You get drafted by an organization that doesn't know what to do with you, and then it just kind of ruins you from there. Had he been drafted to a competent organization, this would be a completely different conversation, but it's not. Now, to respond to your cherry-picking comment about what was it? QB ratings in 2026?
Yes.
Sure. Yes, that is right. Geno Smith did in fact have a higher overall QB rating than Justin Fields had a higher overall QB rating than Geno Smith did in 2026 or 2025. It's also important to note Justin Fields only started 9 games in 2025. Geno started 15. The rating for Geno Smith was 84.7, whereas the rating for Justin Fields was 89.5. So yes, while you're right, that is correct. He did have a higher rating, but there was also a smaller sample size of games, which would have directly impacted his rating had he ended up playing 6 more games that season in either a negative or a positive way, but we'll never know, right? So what I did was I took some different stats. I took 2021 to 2026 stats, which would be the same number of time that both QBs have been in the league. So Geno Smith versus Justin Fields, same amount of years, same amount of time, right? So let's go through it just real quickly, just so that I'm not completely crazy or off with this. Over that time, Geno Smith has started 68 games, where Justin Fields has started 58 games. Or 59. Geno has a 30-37 record, where Justin Fields has a 16-37 record. That seems to be quite a bit more wins, almost twice as many, almost, I think, right? I don't know. Completion percentage, 68.2 for Geno versus 61.4. That's like a 7% gap in completions, Kelly.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit crazy. Now, this is over the same amount of time, mind you. Again,
right.
I'm not... Geno Smith is older. He's played longer, but I made sure that we did the same reference of time. They've played in the same era. This isn't a Jordan and LeBron thing where they're playing against different players. They've played against all the same players. So a 7% increase in completion percentage over that amount of time. Passing yardage. This is an interesting one. Geno Smith has almost 16,000 passing yards versus Justin Fields' 9,000. Average passing yard is higher for Geno at 7.3 versus 6.8. He's got more passing yards per game, 234.6 versus 153.2. That is abysmal. 153 yards per game passing. That's terrible. Passing touchdowns, 95 to Justin Fields' 52. Interceptions, 53 versus 32, but he also played 9 less games, so kind of hammers out. Now, QB rating. This has been brought up before, just recently, right? So this is the career QB rating of Justin Fields, which is an 84.7. Geno Smith over that course of time, 93.7. Pretty good. Pretty good. And if you actually look at points, that's almost exactly 10 points higher than what Justin Fields is. And you know who's still not a backup quarterback this year? Geno Smith.
This is why I needed the popcorn. You're fidgeting in the chair and moving everything.
It should also be important to note that Geno has made 2 Pro Bowls, whereas Justin Fields, sorry, it's really small print. How many? Oh, 0. 0 Pro Bowls. Gotcha. Interesting. Very interesting. So you might be saying, Ryan, maybe you're cherry picking a little bit. I don't know. I feel like I'm giving you a wider scope of things, right? And so people want to complain about Geno Smith. They want to say, about Justin Fields. They want to say, well, he got a bad rap. He hasn't played for good teams. All this other stuff, right? Okay. So he played 3 years in Chicago. Not great, but at that point in time, they had some opportunities to do some good things, right? He was supposed to be the next incumbent guy. When he got drafted, I actually felt like I went, oh, crap. I think the Bears actually made a good decision here, you know? And so he was let down by that organization. But it's not like he hasn't played for competent organizations after that. He played for Pittsburgh for 1 year. Now, the Jets thing is kind of an intermediate thing, but now he's with another competent franchise with Andy Reid and the Chiefs. Who is Geno played for? Well, I can tell you that playing for the Jets twice probably launches him into an echelon of bad organizations that would be higher than anybody else could anticipate Justin Fields being in. He's played for the Jets twice. That's like purgatory in NFL standards, okay?
Good enough to be brought back.
And the other thing I want to point out is in 2024, Justin Fields started 10 games for the Steelers, right?
That is correct.
Actually, sorry, he started 6 games for the Steelers. He was a part of those, but he was available playing for 6, right? He went 4-2, and he had 1,100 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception with a QB rating of 93.3. That same year, backup quarterback Marcus Mariota played in only 3 games. He threw for 1 less touchdown, threw no interceptions, and had a QB rating of 131.2.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Justin Fields got a bad start to his career, but it does not make him a good starting quarterback in any form or fashion. And the league has proven that over and over and over again. He got benched in Pittsburgh for Russell Wilson. He got benched in New York last year for Tyrod Taylor. At the end of this year, they cut him in favor of Geno Smith, and now his next best option is to be the backup quarterback for Patrick flippin' Mahomes. He's not a starting quarterback, and the only way that he will ever get that opportunity again is if somebody gets hurt and he gets thrust into a role for a couple of weeks until the season ends. I'm sorry. It's over. Let it go. Just because you really like Ohio State and you always play as them in College Football 26 doesn't mean that you've got to keep riding this bandwagon. It's okay. It's over. Shh. It's okay. Shh. Anyway, if you want to be a part of the show like Nate was, you can always comment.
I would say everyone is feeling very encouraged to be a part of the show.
Yeah. You can always comment, and we'll read those out like we do whenever we get them. If you want to send an email, you can go to the armchairauthority@gmail.com and send one there. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. The links will be in the description below, and you can support us if you'd like by ordering a t-shirt at tpublic.com. Those are there. It's just a nice little, it's got our little logo in the left breast pocket. Pretty decent. I wear mine to the gym periodically.
No pocket.
Well, left breast.
There you go.
Pocket area.
No pocket.
Where a pocket.
Don't advertise we have a pocket.
Well, there might be an option.
Abbott wouldn't let us have that.
Stupid. I'm going to take him to court. I'm going to find
Might as well.
I'm going to find an old podcast
I'm
lawyer.
going to fire a retired judge.
Yeah. I'm going to find an old podcast lawyer and see if I can.
From Black Hill State.
Yeah, exactly. So you can be a part of the show that way. Yeah. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week. I don't really have anything else to add. We'll continue to follow up on some of the stuff that's developing out there, but we are officially with NHL crowning a champion in the Hurricanes from North Carolina.
There it is.
Crazy. With the New York Knicks winning a championship in basketball. We were officially in the dog days of summer where it is nothing, and I mean nothing but baseball. We had the College World Series that was last night. Oklahoma ended up taking it to, what was the final score of that game?
Don't know. Didn't watch. Real quick to respond. Real quick.
Yeah. No. What was the final score? 13-2. Yeah, it was a Tar Heel beating. That's what it was. It got pretty interesting there. I mean, it was 3-1, and the Tar Heels had the bases. I think the bases loaded or runners on first and second, and they were threatening to tie it up. There were some fun things that were happening, and then Oklahoma just turned it on. So 13-3. Congratulations to the Oklahoma Sooners. Boomer Sooner, as some people say. What is a Sooner?
Don't care. Simply don't.
So congratulations to them. But yeah, I mean, it's strictly baseball, right? That's all we got going on until
we got NBA draft tonight.
We do, and that'll be
NBA
kind of
draft?
interesting. There'll be some more moves going on. Good call on that. So
Yep.
we'll kind of see what happens. It's supposed to be a good draft. People are thinking this is going to be one of those that has 4 or 5 different guys that are going to come out and be real contributors to the NBA and maybe change up the landscape a little bit. So that's exciting.
As a diehard Spurs fan, I'm going to be tuning in.
There you go.
I want to see what's coming.
Exactly.
Coming to the league that I cherish.
Yeah, there's always the fun thing about the NBA draft is there's always trades. It's always trades that happen. So
Yes.
you've got Kobe wasn't initially drafted by the Lakers. That happened at a draft day trade. So there's little things that happen like that. We're always wondering what there could be. Yeah. So, but yeah, until then, we look forward to chatting with you guys next week. We are, like a month and a half away from football, which is crazy to think, which means summer's almost over. So, but hope you guys have a safe rest of the week, and we'll chat with you guys soon.
They know the game, but they're keeping it fun, poking fun at the stats, they're second to none. From fantasy league